As you can see, today's video is going to be a tier list video. Today I am here. I am in a different section. I actually moved my setup to be a little closer to my cards and making it a little more appealing in my personal opinion. So basically today's video is simple. We're me up here, right here in this corner, and you watching the video right now are going to be talking about the deck, the ban list and what might be getting banned. As we know, there is a ban list coming out in August for when we get OP12, where some new cards or old cards or whatever may be basically just kicked out of the game completely, not able to use anymore, restricted, where you can only use so many of them. And at the very least, we're going to find out what is actually going to happen. So today's all speculation. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe, because it's free ways to help me and support the channel. We're almost 2K subs, and let's talk about the cards. We're going to start with talking about cards that are actually already unbanned, or cards that are already banned, I should say. And we're going to start with Moby Dick. This is a very strong stage. In case you don't know what Moby Dick actually does, let's bring it up here on screen. It basically just says, if you have one or less life cards, you're Edward Newgate, and all your characters with it, the type including Whitebeard Pirates, gain plus 2,000 power. Now this is on your turn, so it's not like a defensive stage, but plus 2,000 power. If I have 3 characters on the board, that is plus 6k power, plus 2k to my leader. That's plus 8k power from a 2-cost stage. Yes, you have to set this up really early or randomly in the game, and then it just works when you have that one life. But Newgate is already a very strong deck. The boat is just way too good in my opinion. This is the real boat, the OG boat for the OG One Piece players. This card is sadly not getting unbanned. There's not really a point at this point because it is in block 1. So if you look at the bottom right of the card, it has a 1, meaning that it will go out of rotation in April. It's not worth unbanning just to get kicked out of the meta very soon. So Moby Dick not getting unbanned. So we just toss it up here into stay banned. Now the next card is actually Kabaji, and this one's kind of interesting. It's just a simple effect that says if you have a Moji character, draw 2 and trash 1. It really just says if you have Moji, draw 2, trash 1. And it does not sound very strong, but when Blue Nami was coming out in the East, this card was very oppressive. It was really difficult for people in the East. It got banned before we even received it here in the West because of Nami. Basically using this mixed with Kaya gave you 8 different options to draw 2 and then filter your hand. Basically you could find any card you needed for any matchup. So very skilled players were winning every single time because they would find exactly what they need. A card like Kabaji just can't exist with a leader like Nami. In my personal opinion, draw 2 trash 2 at such a low cost is really good and very underrated. So for a deck list like Nami, I think it makes this card just not usable and not unbannable. Meaning we're going to land Kabaji basically just back and staying unbanned. Now we're going to talk about Enies Lobby, the stage that was terrifying in OP07, OP08, and I think that's when it gets banned right there. It's in OP08. This stage is very strong. It just says you may rest this stage if your leader includes CP as its typing. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost. So when played with OP07 Lucci, basically your leader effect gave -1 cost, the stage gave -2, so you gave -3 cost to any characters on the board. And this was the only leader to keep up with Red Purple Law. Full power Bob Lucci kept up with full power Red Purple Law. It was almost there. It wasn't better than a Red Purple Law, and I'm not saying that by any means, but it was really close at being able to combat it very actively. It was one of the closest matchups out there, and it really just depended on the pilot. I think a better Bluetchi player just wins the matchup, but a good Red Purple Law player also could just win the matchup. So it was very dependent on what you see in the game, honestly. And if you saw this stage, you just win. So imagine this now with Lucci how it is. You're basically using stage into Brook, KOing a 4-cost character every single turn. And that's how strong this card is. Because -1 cost with leader, -2 cost with Enies Lobby, -1 cost with Brook, and then Brook KOs a 0-cost character. That's all that needs to be said. This card is never getting unbanned, never should get unbanned, and if it ever does, we're going to Gundam, baby. We're out of this game. I'm not dealing with that. So Enies Lobby, also just going to stay banned. Reject, in case you don't know what this card does, it's also really strong. Basically, it just says choose one, KO one of your opponent's cost 5 characters, or if your opponent has 1 life, deal 1 damage to your opponent, then add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. So you're able to draw a card through the effect from your life, you're able to KO a 5-cost character, or burn your opponent's last life and add that to their hand. Deal 1 damage to your opponent is actually insane on a 4-cost event. Basically, you could just use reject and then swing 11, and sometimes that was just math. That would be Yellow's big finisher was reject, and it was really a bad time in the card game, so this card also not getting unbanned. I know this is really boring, but this is just how it is. You got to know what's getting unbanned and what's not. We just have to be honest about what's really here. Red Purple Law not getting unbanned. Basically, you're just able to bottom deck 5,000 power characters and do crazy stuff like that. For those who didn't play in the format, you just go Dawn minus, you bottom deck a 3,000 power character, and then play out a 4 cost or lower from your hand. That would usually just ramp your Dawn back. So basically, it was just insane. This deck was just stupid. This should never be back. If this ever comes back, we're all quitting the game together. We're holding hands, and we're going off into Gundam. I'm not playing Gundam. I haven't even tried Gundam yet, so don't quote me on all this Gundam talk. But if I do want to see some Gundam, maybe we can try it out. Great Eruption is another card that's banned, and we'll go ahead and talk about Ice Age at the same time. Ice Age is a 1 Dawn event that gives -5 cost, and Great Eruption, it gives -2 cost, but you draw a card replacing the card from your hand. Neither of these are going to get unbanned because this is not the direction that I think they want to take Black anymore, and Sakazuki is right there with it. I think this is not the direction they want to take Leaders, basically just being one of the best removal-focused decks while also being able to bottom deck multiple cards in one turn, especially when paired with Ice Age and Great Eruption. Yes, this Leader is probably a lot less oppressive now, but I'm trying to roll through some of these already banned cards. So basically, Sakazuki not getting unbanned either. This one has the potential to possibly get unbanned. If there's anything that does, I think it would be Sakazuki and Great Eruption. These are the 2 cards that people have talked about for a while, and I think with people speculating it in the past, I think there is a chance that I think these could become unbanned, but it's not highly likely. I think they've already made their decision on Sakazuki reprinting the Leader with a different effect, so I definitely don't think Sakazuki and Great Eruption, I just don't see it. I don't think there's any point at this point. The card's just going to get put out of rotation anyways. Probably not worth unbanning. Now we have some of the most recent ones, which included Ice Age here, and these really interest me actually. Now, of course, we have Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria being one of the most overpowered cards ever made in the One Piece card game. I would say it's probably one of the most overtuned cards. When we scroll up here and look at it, basically it just says play out a 4 cost, play out a 2 cost character from your trash. That's it. It's that simple. Yes, there's a little bit more text there, don't get me wrong, but that was the main idea. And that 4 cost would play out a 3 cost, and that 2 cost would minus the cost of your opponent's character, and your leader would do the same, and then you would just win the game. Like Gecko Moria, really stupid, overtuned card, should never have been in the game. They did way better with like, Dragon. I think they made that a lot more fair, and I'm happy to see a card like that versus Gecko Moria. Now, I'm saying that about Dragon now until I start playing against Dragon a lot in locals, and I'm just like, I hate this card. So hear me complain about Black later. Right now, it's Gecko Moria. He's gone. We're happy. Smiles in the chat. Rob Lucci is not doing great. We're happy about it. We have Raigo here. Raigo is a 6 cost event. Now this is one that I personally don't think a lot of people saw coming. It says KO one of your opponent's characters, then trash cards from the top of your life until you have 1 life card. This card I think needs to come back. Personally, I think this card should be unbanned. I think them getting rid of it was just to slow down Enel. I don't think Enel's is nearly as strong as anybody believed it would be, and it's because that lost Kingdom Come. Kingdom Come was very strong. It was a way to remove big bodies while also gaining life back with a 10-drop Enel. Now, if we bring back some removal, I think Kingdom Come is a good option. Having the opportunity to KO any character and then go down to 1 life. Going down to 1 life is tough for any other deck to pull off, but it really helps in Vegapunk, and I'm a yellow Vegapunk player at heart, so that's like my main guy, my main deck right there. So if anything does come back, I would love it to be Kingdom Come, but if not, I understand why. I get why you don't bring this back, especially with the 10-drop Enel. You can play this out, lose all your life, and then just heal back with the Enel. Don't really lose anything. I get it. With that being said, I do think it stays banned. I also think Jinbei is going to stay banned just because they made a new Jinbei. Jinbei is probably the one card that a lot of people knew something was going to get hit, but did not expect Jinbei. Some people expected Jinbei, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying none of you did, so don't comment down below. Comment down below if you thought Jinbei was going to get banned, because you were correct. And feed my comment section. So basically, you just play another 7 Warlord type with a cost of 4 from your hand. Now they're just reprinting a new Jinbei in PRB2 that just allows you to look at the top 5 and grab a 7 Warlord type character. It's good, it's not great, not better than this Jinbei, of course, and so I just think if they're going to try to make a new and improved quote-unquote version of Jinbei, they're not going to reprint, or they're not going to unban this. They're not really doing any unbans here, sadly. I was hoping they would do some kind of unbans because I like unbanning cards. I like seeing these cards flourish and being able to see what opportunities have appeared for them to change the deck list altogether, but hey, probably not happening this deal around, but that's okay. Let's talk about some cards that you may have thought may get banned, and let's talk about some of the big ones. Well, we've done a lot of work here talking about things that are going to stay banned, that are already banned, and that doesn't really do much. But now we're going to talk about cards in color order that people have talked about banning for a while now, or have just talked about banning recently. And I think there's going to be some obvious answers here. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of obvious answers here of banned or not banned, and there's going to be some gray lines. And personally, there's cards I'm going to say I want them to get banned. I don't want to see them in a card game, and I don't think they're fun for the card game. But there's also cards that I'm going to be like, I have to accept that they're here, and that's part of any player in the game. So keep that in mind. This is all opinionated, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be as when I actually place them on here, I'm going to tell you this card's getting banned, this card's not getting banned, and why I think so with some actual facts. But I'm also going to give you my personal opinion on do I think it's good for the game or not. So, hey, there we go. Now let's get into these cards. We're going to talk about 10-drop Lin Lin. 10-drop Lin Lin is very, very strong from back in the day, but I think with it rotating out, I don't think it's worth unbanning. Yellow's not really doing much, so I don't think any of the yellow cards are gonna get hit. And we're gonna talk about each and every one, but starting with Lin Lin, it just gives you a life and trash to your opponent. People aren't really using 10-drop Lin Lin right now other than putting players, and they're not even seeing very high competitive level play right now. They're not winning tons of tournaments, so for me, I don't think 10-drop Lin Lin's an issue. I think we're okay with it. People talked about banning it in the past because in the past it was very strong, but right now, I don't really think so. Same feeling with Beige and Zero Cost Event. Now, these are both Enel staples out here. We all know what these do at this point, and if you don't, I don't know what rock you're living under. Beige just basically stops any character from attacking as a trigger, and the Zero Cost Event says gain 1 life. Literally, it just says gain 1 life, and then if you have 0 life when this card triggers, gain 1 life, then discard 1 card from your hand. Meaning that if you have no cards in hand, you also just gain the life for free. You discard after you gain the life. So really cool little effects there. I've called for this card to be banned. I would love to see this card get banned. I don't think it will. I don't think a card like this is good for the game, just going off random luck. And those games you lose, especially if I'm sitting down and bro just busts out a 0 cost event to win the game in the finals of the big local regionals, and it was to get me into top 2 to then go to nationals. The 0 cost event is what gets them there. I am going to murder somebody, and I mean that with love, honesty, and transparency. If 0 cost event hits me in the finals, it's just game over. I don't know what I'd do at that point, because like certain things you just can't play around, and that's one of them. So I just had to guess which life had the 0 cost event and then just lose. Sounds about right. So hey, cost event, I don't care for it, but I understand it's part of the game. It's one that I have to accept as a player of the game, that not every card is going to be exactly what I want, and I'm okay with that. This card is going to probably be here for a while. I'm going to move the staying banned out of the way so we don't have to see those, because obviously everything we've already seen is going to stay banned. But these cards not getting banned, these are not really important to talk about right now, but it's cards people have called on getting banned before. Now, 8-drop uses Captain Kidd, another card people have called on for a while to get banned, and I don't think it's going to happen. It's another one of those that I really just don't think so. Why'd I put these in unbanned freedom? They are definitely not unbanned. They're not even banned in the first place. So I don't think so for Useless Captain Kidd, but people have complained about this card for a while. I think that it's an OPO1, so I don't think there's really any reason to ban it, because it's going to rotate out anyways very soon, and I think they've seen already that this is not a direction they want to go in the future with the One Piece card game, so I don't think so, but there is a possibility for this 8-drop Kidd. I think if you know, just maybe one person has the higher power over everybody and just really doesn't like green, because we've seen in the past that they really don't like green. They've finally given us some good cards, and then people are already talking about taking them away, so hey, it might happen. We might just get the stray. I don't think so, but it's possible. And here's another thing. Here's another green card I think is either way. I honestly think this card could go either way. Hody Jones is an amazing card for green, but it's something we've needed because of Gum Gum Giant. And when we talk about Gum Gum Giant, I may go into a deeper dive on Hody Jones and why I think Hody Jones is actually good for the game, but that's just personal opinion. Now, it rests a blocker, Dawn, whatever you really need it to get you out of a situation. I love Hody Jones because it can help you win in the finals. When you really need this card, it's really good. But I also understand the perspective of if your opponent just has this card, sometimes you just lose. So if your opponent just draws better, sometimes you just lose. And the sad part is that's part of One Piece, that's part of card games, that's just how it is. So I will say, I don't think it's gonna get banned. I don't think it should get banned because that's part of card games. Sometimes when I just have the right card, you just win. And this is one of those cards that any deck can have. There's many times that any color in the game can have a certain card in their hand and just absolutely win because of that one card. So personally, Hody Jones, great boss monster, enjoyable, gives us good rush in green, and if they do ban it, I would just like to see some good rush basically added to green. That's all I would ask for, and I'd happily say let it go. Now, a weird one that I've seen people talk about is actually Tashigi. This card is not going to get banned, but I just want to talk about it as I've heard some people mention it. It's basically, if your card were to be removed from the field by bottom decking, KO, anything like that, it's one of those cards that saves the characters on the board instead. And so we're talking about 2-cost base as well. We're talking about the 4-cost Sabo, and we're talking about the Shirahoshi that's coming out in the next set. We have a lot of cards to talk about. The Koshiro, I believe it is, from the 2-cost green / attribute saver. Like, this is just something I think they want to do in the future. I think they want to give other support to anti-removal, and so I think something like Tashigi is going to be around in the card game. I think it's a good card because sometimes you just don't have it, and if you remove enough of them, then your opponent also you just don't have it. With that being said, I'm just going to put it in not getting banned. I don't think there's any reason, but people have talked about this more recently. It's a possibility, but I really, really, really doubt it. Now, Red Rock and Gravity Blade, 2 more cards that I just don't think will get banned. I think just having removal is good. I think they are really overtuned at points, but I don't think they target these just because I let them live for so long. Red Rock being around since OP04 and Gravity Blade being around since OP06, this is really the only good consistent blue removal, so I don't think these get touched. I don't think these get dealt in, but you never really know. You never really know. 9-cost Sanji is another one that people have complained about because of Blue Purple Luffy, and this card is not getting banned. They're giving us literally a manga of this card. If you ban my manga, bro, I am pissed. So this card never getting banned, not getting banned, stop talking about it. It's really stupid that people think this is the problem with Blue Purple Luffy, but that's hearsay. Also, Charlotte Pudding, I know how many people hate this card. I don't think it gets banned. People just hate this card to hate. I think, you know, it does pretty good into blue purple, and maybe that's why people haven't complained about it so much recently, but this card, not gonna happen, not getting banned, don't even think about it. Now, these next few cards are gonna be for our anti-buggy friends, and guess what? You are not friend, you are foe. These guys do not gotta go. I mean, the one that I think has potential is possibly the 7-drop buggy. I think this card is really strong, so I'll put it in I don't think so, but I do think if any card were to get banned, it would be the buggy that stops 3-cost and 4-cost from attacking, because it absolutely just shuts down certain decks way worse than Kid does. Like, if you want to talk about something getting banned, I think this actually could deserve it a little more than Kid. Well, definitely a lot more than Kid. Possibly even more than Hody. I think this card literally, if you just play Bello Betty and I play Buggy, you literally just have a bad time. Your win percentage is 10%. You are not enjoying your day if you play against me. Like, that's the end of the story. I'm not gonna lie, I do understand why this would be something banned. I don't think it's super oppressive right now, but if we get into very aggro formats, what do you do? Like, literally, what do you do other than tech in Divine Departure to get rid of it? And then, oh wait, I put this guy on the board and now my characters can't be KO'd. I just discard a card instead. So your removal does nothing. And like, that combo, insane. I don't think this card should be allowed in the card game, but I think if you get rid of it, you really, really lose the buggy players. Like, that just gets far, far worse. That's just the truth of it. But I think there's a possibility, but I really just don't think so. 9-drop Liland's another one of those that people are talking about maybe banning, but the issue is that this card has not been an overachiever until Blue Purple Luffy. And so for me personally, I don't think this card deserves to get banned. It just heals you a life and heals your opponent a life. It removes a body off the board, but it does heal your opponent at the end of the day. Like, it's a starve method, and it does great in the format currently with just the decks that are out. But I don't think you take away just basic 9-cost support because there's an overtuned leader. For me, I don't think there's any reason that Linland should get banned. I'm going to put it in I don't think so because we have seen strays thrown to the side before. But I just don't see, when we compare it to these other cards on the list, like Innie's Lobby and Reject and Red Purple Law, like, this does not compare to any of those. So I really don't think this card deserves to get banned. Now, Gum Gum Giant. I'm going to give my opinion on Gum Gum Giant. We're going to talk about Hody Jones and all those good things. We know there's an alt art. This alt art right here, we know there's going to be an alt art, right? So what are the odds they're going to ban a card that they just printed an expensive alt art that they're going to try to get your money? Like, they are not going to ban this card, and it sucks because this is probably the most overtuned card. I mean, it's one of those, like, we've seen this before, like in 08 where they hit, hit in black. Did they even hit anything? Yeah, they hit Innie's Lobby stage. You know what people were talking about when they hit the Innie's Lobby stage? They were talking about banning Gecko Moria. They were talking about banning Ice Age, and it took them 3 more sets to actually ban the cards. Like, this same feeling where they're going to ban the other stuff slowly, like the leader, like they did Sakazuki, and stuff like that. They're going to stay away from the big issues, which I think is Gum Gum Giant, because, the collection box that was still getting printed for the Ice Ages, and there was just so much other stuff they had going on. They had the Gecko Moria being in PBR. Same thing with this. I want to put it up here and gets banned. I want to say it gets gone as soon as possible, but it sucks. I'm putting Unbanned Freedom because this card is due to literally just printing tax. This card was already getting printed in an alt art. It's not going to get banned because of that, because if not, Bandai just loses their money, and Bandai doesn't want to lose money. So, hey, that card's not getting banned, and it sucks. Now, 8-drop category, I don't think this card deserves to get banned, but I do at the same time. It's one of those, like, I'm off and on with this card. Being able to restand your Linlins and everything, I mean, I think this card is really strong. Getting your Dawn back, making it just free to manage Dawn, like, that is stupid to me. Because now, like, you can, using this with Gum Gum Giant, I think it can be just seen as overtuned. This card frustrates me. It's at a perfect level to, like, KO, move off the board with Divine Departures or whatever. But certain decks, like Vegapunk, I can't do anything to this. I have absolutely 0 answers to an 8-drop category, meaning my deck is useless. Like, what is the point of even playing a deck that can't really take care of the meta? With that being said, my hot take is going to put it here. I mean, I'm going to put it closer to Hody Jones. I don't think it's at that Hody Jones level, but I think it would be higher than, 8-drop Kid. Probably Linlin above 8-drop Kid at this point, but Buggy's still at the top. I think this card's really annoying, but that's just me. Now, this stage. This stage seems super simple, and we're going to go into leaders after this, so just I hope you're ready. This stage seems super simple, super stupid, and it's not that big of a deal. All it does is, if your leader has a Straw Hat Crew type, draw 1 card. Then activate main, you may rest the stage. If the Dawn on your side is lower or equal to your opponent's, up to one of your Straw Hat Crew type characters get +2 cost. So it doesn't sound like that big of a dagger, but in actuality, it replaces itself in hand. So basically, there's no reason not to play it. And it gives additional cost to a character, meaning that in a very low limited removal that we've already talked about, how they've gotten rid of the Ice Ages and the Great Eruptions and all the cost minus other than Tempest Kick and Hachikador Packwork, like those are the only options, and even those on events, and that's really it. So there's really limited, so basically limited removal. The only removal that can remove this is black in the late game, like can remove your characters. If I find this stage, I mean, is really cooked. There's so many ways that you just can't touch anything. Like, yellow does nothing. My yellow Luffy does nothing. My 5-cost Luffy from Vegapunk. 5-cost Nami from Vegapunk. My radio knives don't do anything. These and Electrical Luna can't even hit it. Freaking, there's so many things that, like, there's such limited removal that Red Hawk's nothing can touch any character in your deck. Nothing can really deal with Sanji Pudding, a 5-drop 7k that becomes a 7-cost 7k with this card. This card is a little too strong, overtuned, and for me, I think this card should be yeeted out of the card game. Personally, I like Green Purple Luffy. I'm a Green Purple Luffy fan, and I think this would be a fair way to really make it fair. Now, maybe with getting rid of Blue Purple, they can get rid of this and everything can be all good and dandy. I think this is a maybe banned, though. I'm not confident that this card gets banned. Now, Green Purple Luffy the leader, this card ain't no way. They are not banning Green Purple Luffy. It's not that strong that it needs to be banned. I think it just has really strong cards like the stage. I think without the stage and without, Giant, this leader is actually really not that good. Personally, that's just honest truth. I think this card, I think you put him down here and ain't no way that card ain't getting banned. We're going to say the same thing for Marshall V. Teach. I think this is going to be a weird one, right? I think it goes up here and I don't think so. So the only reason I put this in a different place is because I think if you deal with Blue Purple, maybe they're scared Teach gets into a spot that's really scary. Now, don't get me wrong, they did just give us like starter deck Teach and everything. I don't think Teach gets banned. I know this is really random. I just know some people have called for a Teach ban before because the effect is just really just a board flood effect that's similar to the 7-cost buggy. And so I think if you want 7-cost buggy gone, you want Teach gone, in my personal opinion. And so for me, I think you think so, but we've seen strays happen before. I mean, about Rygo, this card caught a stray because of a certain ban, making this card overtuned in the current format because it got limited, the like strength of format and everything. So I mean, there's always a chance we could be lucky and ban Marshall D Teach. Now again, I really don't think so. They put so much work into Teach and so many people love Teach, and it's a really good competitive deck. I don't think anything happens to it, but I wouldn't be mad if it did. Now Lucci's not going to get banned. Lucci is not going to get banned, but I think Lucci is the problem child. I will talk about this before we talk about Blue Purple, the one you've all been waiting for. This card is not going to get banned, but damn would I love to see this card get banned. I would love to see this dang leader get banned, booted out the card game, but guess what? He is unbanned freedom. He will never get touched because they'd rather ban 3 total cards for this leader than actually just ban the leader. I mean, if it would have just banned the leader, all of these cards would still be in play. All 3 of these cards would still be in play if you would just ban the Rob Lucci leader, but hey, instead of doing that, let's just ban every single card and let him live. Now, Blue Purple, because we know there's got to be some kind of change, right? We know something has to happen here, and it's pretty obvious. Blue Purple Luffy is going to be banned. I'm very confident in this. Some people may say I'm crazy, like, obviously I'm so much support for this leader, and there's so much going on, but there's no way they don't ban this leader. Like, genuinely, they don't. I think there is a problem that's going to happen with the card game, and I don't know what else would change. If they banned Hody Jones and not Blue Purple Luffy, I would lose my mind. If they banned anything down here below Blue Purple Luffy and not Blue Purple Luffy, I will actually lose my mind. I will scream, cry, poop my pants, and then cry some more. That would make me vomit profusely. A McDonald's cheeseburger would literally regurgitate out of my stomach, and I haven't had McDonald's in 7 years and 14 minutes. I cannot handle Blue Purple Luffy another day if we do not get that ban. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to play Zoro. Zoro does okay into it, and there's a bunch of decks that do okay into the deck, into the leader and everything. So for me, like, it's not the worst matchup going forward when we get the new OP12 decks because of what I like to personally play. But some of the decks I like to play, like Sanji, don't do great into it. They just get booted. And maybe that's just me as an unskilled pilot that I am. But hey, this card's got to go. This card, drawing 2 cards, setting up the top 5, and then using these other cards, it's basically just a leader to break cards versus a card that breaks a leader. The leader breaking cards is a lot easier just to go get rid of it, because getting rid of this leader doesn't affect any other deck. But getting rid of 9-cost Linlin affects a lot of purple decks. Getting rid of 8-drop Katakuri affects a lot of purple decks. Getting rid of 9-cost Sanji doesn't affect many decks, but it affects their next set they're printing with a manga 9-cost Sanji. So, the real truth is easy. It's simple. You came here for a 20-minute video about the new ban list just to find out that the obvious answer is obvious, and yeah, that's the way we ended out. Thank you so much for watching as always. I hope you enjoyed the new little setup. I'm still working on it. Maybe get some lights around this or do something here. I don't really know. I got things to cook up, but hey, I'll see you in the next video. I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know your thoughts on the ban list down below. Comment, like, subscribe. One Piece family. We're almost 2K subs. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.